chimney sweeping morning. Not all of that's soot, some of that's ash, but if you have any sort of wood burning fire or stove, this is why it's a good idea to sweep the chimney at least once a year. We sweep ours twice. I have good news on a couple of fronts which I thought I'd share with you. Firstly, you may notice that that giant pile of Will's woodworking wood has vanished, and all that's left of it is this, which is wood that Will deemed unsuitable for woodworking, sitting there waiting to be processed, because the rest of it found its way into here. Let me put the light on. And has filled one bay, has filled the second bay, and then the wood that he wanted to keep is along here. I know you can't really see, but that's 2 pallets worth of wood which Will kept from the big pile for woodworking purposes. So as you can see, he's got a lot of woodworking wood. We got a bay of firewood and quite a lot more left to process. Then as I exit and head down the drive away from the house, I want to give you a quick Mr Darcy Walk update. Ta-da! Mr Darcy Walk, barring mowing that last little bit, which, as I have mentioned before, is currently not possible because of the general wetness of the ground, is finished. I had earmarked this as my all-winter project. I tend to give myself one big project per winter to capitalise on being able to burn the material on the bonfire. I thought this would likely take me all winter as I interspersed it with other projects, because essentially I have doubled the length of the Mr Darcy Walk, but no. It in fact took me a lot quicker than I thought, so I had set myself the revised target of getting it done before the weekend, because we're going away to Melbourne for a couple of nights, and the final step was Will helping with his bigger chainsaw, and we did that on the weekend. So now, as I say, barring a little bit of tidying up, the Mr Darcy Walk is done. Finally, it has since rained since I came down to thrash out potential route down here, which means I can get a better idea of where it gets wet and where stays dry. And as you can probably see, the answer is it basically all gets wet. So the channel from the neighbouring pond comes down here, goes under our bridge and feeds our pond, but it comes down here to quite a depth, which is where I was thinking of pushing the bridge. If I come up here, you can see the bridge would have to span from there to there, so quite a distance, but probably doable, because essentially all of this is submerged. Or the alternative is there's sort of an island, it's a bit obscured, so we could put a little bridge here, have a path here and then put a little bridge over there. We'll see how we feel, but yes, essentially it's not a neat little channel, it's this width of water which then goes either side of this little island and converges there where on it goes.
The things you can catch under a glass. This is a tiny little lizard who was wandering around inside. I'm just going to take him or her outside.
It's a slightly short and sweet one this week, but that's largely because Will and I are gearing up for our nice trip to Melbourne, so we've been focused on things to do with that. But as you will have seen, we've got up to a few bits and pieces. I'm going to end this week more or less as we started by giving you a quick update in the wood store. I accept that out of all of us, I and possibly Will, but certainly me, are the most excited about the wood situation. But as I've mentioned previously, when you're almost totally reliant on it for all sorts of things, it does become a preoccupation. But there's something I wanted to show you. Will's just got home. Let's say hi. Hi, Will! See if you can smile. Anyway, I've come better prepared this time with a torch. We were contacted by a neighbour of ours to say that they had taken down some trees and we were very welcome to have them. And so we took them, brought them home, and the amount of wood sort of covered all of this area. This is all that's left. So this is my processing pile, and this is wood I've left for Will. I'll explain a bit about that in a sec. But yes, so radically reduced, but in good news, my torch is inadequate for this purpose. I'm really sorry. I thought it would be better, but it barely is. You probably won't really be able to see that. That means that this bay, which is full of the wood that is living wood, that is seasoning, is now almost totally full. So that's 2 layers deep, and we have started on the third and final layer. If I come to the side, you can maybe see that a little better. So we go 3 layers deep, and they're quite extensive in terms of height, higher than me. We thought we might fill this. We're not going to, as I say, but that's okay. It means that when I start taking down our living trees, I will have less work to do in order to fill this. So I'm delighted about that. So that complements this bay, which is also full, but this is wood that's ready to burn now. And then this is the bay, the first bay that we filled with our firewood that we had in storage. And now we're down to the last layer and a little bit, which is good. That's how the system's supposed to work. We're supposed to fill a bay, empty the bay, move on to the next one and keep rotating. But yeah, this wood here, this is some of the weirdest wood I've ever encountered. I don't know what it is. I'm not good enough to recognise wood. You can probably see though how it's got a very, very different bark to this wood. I call this orangutan wood. You might not be able to see this, sort of orangey and fluffy. Reminds me of an orangutan. So this is some sort of eucalyptus. I imagine this is some sort of eucalyptus too, but I can't tell you more than that. But it is like the world's densest rubber. No matter how hard I tried with our log splitter, it just bounced off it. I've never known anything like it. You can maybe see where I've made almost no impression on that wood, and bearing in mind that I'm capable of splitting, you know, wood way bigger than that, and that's as big as my hand. These bits by comparison are tiny, but they're mighty. Anyway, that's a job I've handballed to Will, but we'll see how he gets on. I'm going to head back into the house now and catch up with Will, see what his day has held in store for him. And I will see you next week, where we will be en route to a short break in Melbourne, some of which I'll capture. And then no doubt we'll be back at home talking about more fascinating stuff like woods and storing wood and making footpaths and killing plants. Anyway, I'll see you next week. Bye.